the third straight outstanding defensive game, but by far the best one of the season because this was a good offensive team, and the Jazz dominated. They took Trae Young out of the game. Derek Favors was everything we dreamed he would be defensively, the best defensive stint of the year for him, and the defense caused the offense to get going, and then it was fun. And the Jazz were rolling on the midnight train to Georgia. They win it 116-92. We're talking about all of it coming up on Postcast. Postcast is for you every single game after the game, live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. Locked On Live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and Locked On Sports on Periscope. The chat room is open. Love to hear about you today and see what you have to say. The Jazz absolutely played as good a game as they can play all year. It's telling me I have to activate the chat. I wonder why. I've never had this before. I'll just put in a little title and see if it happens. Sorry, apologize for those that are listening and going, what just happened? Let's see if that activates the chat. Well, that makes it for a not very good show if the chat room is not open. Wonder why it's not allowing chat, but that's not a good show. We're not doing the show. If we can't have chat, we're not doing the show. That's the whole purpose of this show. I'll give you my quick take on it then tonight. This will be a shorter show than usual. I'm not going to have to figure out why they have blown up the chat for us on this. That is not good. But I will try to see what I can do on that in the future, as we certainly want to have chat available for you on all of the channels. All right, so let's start on this one. The Jazz came out. Defensive plan on Trae Young is the story. They took the ball out of his hands, and they didn't let him get it back. They forced the Hawks to actually play 4-on-4, which in most cases is a disaster, but worked beautifully tonight. Trae Young kind of lost his vibe. He was 0-4 early in the ball game. At the end of the first quarter tonight, Trae Young was 0-4 at halftime. Tonight, he was a grand total, and let me look at my notes, of 1 of 8 in the third quarter. He was 1 of 10. Lloyd Pierce had pulled him at different times, kind of strangely, throughout the game because he wasn't a part of it. And the Jazz were either denying him on inbound passes after free throws or made baskets, or double-teaming him at times. He came across the half court. When he gave the ball up, he kind of sulked off to the corner, and the Jazz were able to deny him from getting the ball back, and he just never got rolling. And this team is completely dependent on Trae Young. When he plays well, they win. He's got a usage rate in the 30%. He's got an assist rate in the 40%, and the Jazz took that away. The other play was just one play specifically was just so beautiful tonight, was that Trae Young drives into the lane, and he led the league last year in passes, paint-to-paint passes for shots, and Donovan Mitchell knows where he's going and goes and takes the pass away the other way. It just showed you how in touch the Jazz were to the game plan and what they were doing. And they were absolutely terrific in all aspects of this game. They denied their three-point shooting game. The Hawks ended 5 of 28 from 3, which is somewhat being fortunate, but it's also, in this case, it's getting guys other than Trae Young to shoot him. Frankly, Cam Reddish is not a particularly good shooter. He was 4 of 5, and the rest of the team was 1 of 23 from 3, but they were not getting their shots in the natural mechanism by which they usually get them. They usually get them from Trae Young, from his penetrations, from his kickouts, and those were not how that offense came tonight. So none of that was comfortable. It was a great game plan from the Jazz. It was perfectly executed by the players, and they absolutely knocked Atlanta off their game early and blew their rhythm. And then the defense created the Jazz getting out and moving the basketball and running and playing, and the Jazz just were beautiful. 23-point shots again, third time they've done that recently. Clarkson ended up with 4. Donovan had a bunch of catch and shoots. The catch and shoot game, which we talk about all the time as being the key to the Jazz. The Jazz opened the game up with missing their first 6 catch and shoot opportunities of the game, and then went nuts, hit 5 of 8, and then finished off banging down a total of 23s in the ball game. The Jazz finished 11 of 26 on catch and shoot, which is right about the 40% we kind of know they're going to shoot on a night. They went 6 of 10 in the third quarter after going 3 of 5 in the second quarter. When they get 10 catch and shoots in a quarter, it's over. They get 26 catch and shoots in a game, it's over. That is when this team is great. Those often come off the defense, and this kind of fits the whole theme of what we talked about recently about this team, and that is the Jazz right now are about, and I don't have it exactly, but they're like the third best defensive team after a made shot, and they're 28th in the league defensively after a missed shot. So if it feels like they're on this teeter-totter all the time, that's why. Because when they make a shot, set the defense, then they go out and run again, then they're about the fourth best offensive team again. And it just kind of perpetrates itself, and so they're blowing people out when they're good, and then when they don't get it going, either defensively or offensively, it kind of avalanches the wrong way on them right now. And so that's a lot of what's taking place for the Jazz. Things you're probably interested in, Bojan Bogdanovic goes 3 of 5 from 3, got his corner threes, got his catch and shoot threes. Donovan was just great again tonight, 26 points, 6 of 10 from 3. Again, a great deal of catch and shoot. Mike Conley came in early and kicked the crap out of Trae Young in the opening minutes of the game. He scored 9 points before the Jazz jumped out to an 18-4 run, and Lloyd Pierce had to call a timeout to save Trae Young from any more defensive embarrassment, which probably led to his brutal offensive night. Mia One played well in space of Joe Ingles. There was one part of the game where the offense got a little hairy, and you missed Joe. Excuse me. But I think for the most part, the Jazz were really, really solid. This was just a brilliant performance, but it was a defensive performance. The Jazz defensive rating tonight was below 90. Teams in the NBA have won 155 straight games in which their defensive rating is below 90. The last team to actually lose that game was us in November of 2018 to the Lakers. Teams were 73-0 last year. They're 14-0 this year, I think it is. They'd won 67 games in a row after the Jazz lost. So, that's the magic. Like, if you can be that good, you can't be that good very often. But the Jazz have now had 3 straight games where they've held the opponent to below 100 offensive rating. When we do that, we're not going to lose. We'll win 90% of our games this year when we have our defensive rating below 100, and that'll be key. So a blowout win. I would have loved to get your chats. I'm going to have to find out what happened tonight on that. I'm really sorry. That's not. I don't know why that would be. I don't know why that would be, and what they just did, and what their change was. And I don't see any button that I can easily push to get the chat room up and rolling. So I apologize on that, but I appreciate you stopping by for this shortened edition of POSTCAST. We'll be back with you Sunday afternoon, and hopefully I'll have a way to fix that